manna, Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, oh, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.
What it do is Wednesday, you know, we're hitting our mark on the On Your Mark show, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Every play I compete, live from the Fishbowl Radio Network. Listen, I got family in the house, man. Listen, these guys have been instrumental in things that I do on the field in the off season. Trench warfare is in the building. Got my guy, Coach Brandon Tuck. Derrick in the building as well. Listen, pass rushing school is going down May 4th and 5th. It's going to be epic. Listen, 50 O linemen, 50 D linemen, Richardson Bergner High School is going down. First of all, I appreciate you guys joining me. And listen,
Sure.
Yeah,
giving you your flowers now for doing some of the best work in the business, man. You know, and also I appreciate you guys for everything you've allowed me to do and be, you know, working alongside with you guys for a number of years now.
Yeah,
and
we
of course,
appreciate you,
man, my guy SD Johnson in the building, CEO of Epic Sports Apparel, Coast to Coast Athletics. On the road, Coach, what it do?
What it do, man. Always happy to be in the building. Always happy to work with you guys, man. It's a beautiful thing. Let's get it.
Absolutely, man. Well, first of all, you know, you guys have been on the show before. Coach Tuck, you've been. But talk to me about the genesis. I want to go back a little bit of trench warfare and how you guys got it started. What was the big idea that kind of touched down with you and how you came up with this concept?
Man, appreciate you having us.
Absolutely.
All the way back in 2008, I was coaching youth football and just saw the need for some extra work for the O-line and D-line in that organization. And from there, you know, pre-draft training, my youth guys turned into middle school guys, and my middle school guys turned into high school guys. And back in 2012, we went full time with it, and it's just blossomed from there. Just been a blessing to be in this space. Player development is something that for a long time wasn't offered to the big skill, and so, you know, we just kind of filled the void organically, and been rocking and rolling ever since.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Big skill. When we talk about big skill, tell everybody what that means, because in my opinion, I think this is a money position now. When we talk about defensive line, edge rushers especially, trench hunters, QB hunters. Speak on that just a little bit.
Yeah, so when we talk about big skill, coming up we always heard skill guys, and they were referring to receivers, DBs, running backs. And I'm like, wait a minute, man. You know, it actually takes more skill to play offensive line than anything else. And so I always wanted to be referred to as a skill player, but we're really the big skill guys. And so if you don't have us, offensive line and defensive line, it's just 7-on-7. And so that was the genesis for us to say big skill. And you know, it's just something that we want to take pride in being. You know, everybody wants to score touchdowns and sack the quarterback, and you know, again, you know, you gotta have the guys in the trenches in order to play football. So we want to make sure that we give ourselves the proper what they call it now, pronouns.
Yeah, well, I think the proper pronoun, adjective, verb, description is skill.
Absolutely.
I was having a debate this weekend. I was at a 7-on-7 tournament. Shout out to Prospect Sports. What's the most athletic skill position, or just position on the football, the toughest? You know what I'm saying? Now, I would beg to differ. Derrick, I'll get you to weigh in on this too. playing corner is one of the most difficult positions on the field, outside of offensive line, especially when you have someone running at you full speed and you have to backpedal and react to what they're doing. They know where they're going. Most of the time you're reacting to what they're doing. Derrick, I'll start with you.
I'm gonna disagree.
Okay.
I agree. Cornerback is highly difficult.
Right.
They are. To me, and it's crazy because we're on the defensive line side of the ball, but offensive linemen, in my opinion, the most skilled guys, they have to play going backwards with a really large human pressing them quickly, and they have to keep technique, skill, and keep that huge human off of them,
right,
and off of the quarterback, more importantly. So
right.
To be able to be that athletic and that verse going backwards, to me, highly skillful.
Coach.
So I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. How many corners on average do you see playing 10 plus years? Not many.
Right.
And because once they lose a step
they
of
change
athleticism,
positions. Right.
Will you see a plethora of offensive linemen playing 10 plus years because that position is based on their skill set.
Right.
And so, and people, I mean, everybody has their opinion.
Right.
But a big, strong, athletic guy that can do what Derrick talked about, be able to go backwards, be able to go forwards, left, right with zone blocking. Offensive line is without question the most skillful position in football. And after that, we can debate, but you can say corners.
For sure.
We'll let them have a little something.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Coach Jay, we talk about these kind of things all the time. I think you can't be a great lineman or corner if you can't dance. If you got two left feet, then it just don't work. You might want to find an ultimate position.
Correct.
But Coach Jay, weigh in on that.
I've always said, just like you, I agree with the DB thing, but then I saw the argument of who potentially tops that would be the center. Being able to snap the ball with nobody in front of you and then have it to locate and find and keep that person from hitting the money guy. I think that's tough. I definitely wouldn't want to do it. But I think it's just a matter of, like they said, when you look at the argument of why those guys stay in the league for so long and then what they have to do, it is a great argument. We're looking at it from the skill set because everything is always surrounded the skill guys, getting paid and, they talk about them so much. But we go back to when you and I went to, his event years ago. The whole thing was no line, no shine. So we have to give those guys their flowers and respect in that regard. And they are truly, truly highly skilled, especially the guys that are playing now. Amazing athletes that are, just big body guys that can move. And I wonder if you can switch it. And, here's another thing, too. Shout out to the Doughboys making a great argument for what Tuck and Derrick is saying in the sense of I don't think a DB or a receiver could play lineman at a high level, but you see linemen doing a really good job of catching and running routes in 7-on-7 with the Doughboys, even though they're losing, which obviously they should, but they're really making an argument, though, that they're being very athletic, playing defense, getting out there covering, doing the best that they can at a skill that, they've never really practiced. So, honestly, I'm on the fence now, honestly.
Well, I think that you have to tip your cap to the trenches on both sides because the narrative has changed. The days of the old, this is a big, slow guy that's not intelligent, not skillful, those days are out of the window. Now, when you put your hand in the dirt, there's some substance to it. Speak on that, Coach.
It's funny you say that. I had that conversation on Sunday, because we have a generation of really intelligent players, and back in the day, the stigma was, a big dumb athlete,
Right.
and obviously that wasn't ever the case. But if you have someone that is not very intelligent and you tell them to do something, they're going to do it to the letter.
Right.
Whereas now we have highly intelligent student athletes that are critical thinkers, they're analytical, and they need to understand why they're doing something. And so they're going to ask a bunch of questions. And if they haven't bought in, then now you have a lack of performance. And so, it's changed, completely from what it was in the past, as far as how smart these darn kids are these days. And football culture is typically do what I tell you to do, no questions asked. And I think that has changed a lot too, and allow someone like myself to, provide that extra tutelage, if you want to use that, to close a gap where there's questions that they might not get asked or answered at practice. They can come out and feel safe with us and ask those questions, and we answer them so that they have the why when they're asked to do something.
Absolutely. Let's break it down a little further. Parents and players always want to know what I have to do to get to the next level. Mm-hmm. What does the ultimate QB hunter or elite pass rusher or elite guy in the trenches, what do they have to have? What does that look like? What does that start with? Some of the things that you kind of look at when you step on the field, you look at this guy. What are some of the things? Obviously, measurables play a big part in it when it comes to recruiting. Mm-hmm. But there's also intricate things that you may not see. That this is what we're going to get into the pass rushing school here in a little bit, of what you guys kind of look for. I'll start with you, Coach, and then Derrick, break that down as well.
So obviously the eye test, but you want to see a guy have great mobility in his ankles and in his hips. You want to see him be able to use his hands in run defense and in pass rush. You want to see tremendous effort. And the word that you're hearing a lot now, and you'll probably hear it a lot tomorrow, is strain. Mm-hmm. They want to see guys straining. And so for as a defensive lineman, what that means is if the play goes away 10, 15 yards, that you've come off your block and you have sprinted with 100% effort to get to the football. Those are things that we can control. They don't want to see you doing unnecessary things. They want to see a great teammate with great energy. And so those are kind of the basic characteristics that they want to see just optically. But then once they start to visit with you and talk to you, they want to see a high IQ. They want to see a high football IQ. And then they want you to possess a trait that we talk about all the time in the program, which is in high AQ, which is adversity quotient. How much adversity can you deal with before you fold it up? And that's a championship quality. All champions have it, and if you can display those things, you're going to be a recruitable prospect. And so the last thing that we look for, and I'm going to let Derrick talk about that, is you got to have a great GPA, man. It's got to be above average.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
D, break it down.
Okay. As far as to train with trench warfare, we require all our guys to maintain a 3.0 grade point average, and that's year round. And I'm a real stickler for that. We probably have about 5 to 6 grade checks a year. We just had one 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we had some people not be happy because I questioned a couple of grades. They were within their 3.0, but there's a couple of grades I didn't like personally. So since everybody had such an issue with it, we're going to have another grade check right before school is out, which they wouldn't have had if a couple people just shut up. But the part that get looks past the most, and Tuck and I talk about this all the time, is the student part. And most schools recruit you. Your athletic ability and your measurables are always going to get you there. But at a lot of these schools, if you can't do the work, then you're not going to be there. And if you can't qualify to get there because of what your grades look like, a lot of kids dismiss themselves immediately because of their grades. And a lot of schools, whether it's a Power 4, Group of 5, Division 2, and Division 3, which Division 3 is really highly academic schools, which a lot of people fail to realize.
Right.
If you can't do the work, then you're not going to be there. And that's where your grades are so important, and your academic habits are so important. And also for, Ivy League schools, Patriot League schools, Pioneer League schools, which recruit heavy, but they can only recruit certain kind of athletes. And a lot of student athletes dismiss themselves from those schools because their grades are so poor. So we value grades really big time. And Tuck says this all the time. If you don't have a 3.0, you don't need a trainer, you need a tutor.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's how we roll.
100%.
And
Right.
We've had guys who are phenomenal athletes in our program have had to sit out 3 to 4 weeks until they got their grades right. Because we're just huge sticklers on that.
Right.
And our caveat is that your grades are going to get you, especially if we have guys in our program, and every trainer has them, that are tweeners.
Right.
Not that big, not big enough, but not small, but they can play.
All right.
Your academics are what gets you seen a ton of the time when you're a tweener.
You have to say that louder, because that's a big key component that a lot of people don't stress.
Right.
And that's what I think makes you guys different. Of course, I know these things about it, but to hear that, that's something that we try to get across to parents and players on a weekly basis.
Absolutely.
The parents also have to be with that as well, D.
Yeah, the parents have to be bought in. And we have these discussions all the time in front of parents and our kids, because they're our kids. That's how we see them. And if the parents aren't bought in into the academic piece, it'll never work. We have parents sometimes that are, I didn't know he was. Yeah, they do. But after we have a discussion and they realize, like, this could be the difference in you paying for 100% of education or you paying for 20% of education. It's a big difference.
Absolutely.
And once you lay it out to them in layman's terms like that, they start to understand. They understand why it's so important. And for guys, because if you ask every kid in our program, do they want to play Power 4 football, everybody's going to raise their hand. Even though everybody's not going to go play Power 4 football. They're just not.
Right.
But there's a place for them. There are a bunch of really good G5s, a lot of really, really good FCS level schools, a lot of really good Division 2, Division 3, and NAIA schools that offer you the opportunity to play. Everybody doesn't offer scholarships, but everybody gets financial aid, and then if your grades are good enough, they supplement because your grades are good.
Right.
And that gets you over the top. We have a lot of guys in our program that are at places getting their education because their grades were right, and they happen to play football pretty good, but their grades is what really got them more or less than their athletic ability.
Absolutely. Coach Jay, we talk about this leverage that you have to have with your academics, probably one or two times a month on this. This is what you have to stress. There's a reason it's called student athlete for a reason, and
Right.
you have to stress that. Coach Jay, just expound on that just a little bit.
The earlier you can get in front of that, meaning middle school, you can't wait until, sophomore year, freshman year. The mindset has to start in middle school with parents making sure they hold their kids accountable. And that's so important because a lot of kids get caught up in this idea that I just want to play football, that athleticism is all it is. But the small problem is you still got to go to class in college. You still have to be able to maintain a very good GPA in college, because the moment your grades slip, you're no longer valuable to the team because you become a liability because you can't play, you can't practice, you can't do anything. So you have to still be able to manage that. The earlier you can learn those skills of learning how to study, learning how to be ahead of the curve, the better off you're going to be at the next level. And the most important thing is you don't know if you're going to be a P4 guy. So the more leverage you have with your GPA, you're easily able to go any school because it's all about, what you bring to the table. And if you can't go P4, there's money with a high GPA at the lower level schools.
Absolutely.
So you want to have, I always say I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So if I have a high GPA, I know I'm good because somebody's going to take me. Outside of the fact that, again, of course, the obvious, can I play? Am I a good teammate? Does my film stand out? All of those things. But the GPA, I think a lot of people miss the boat on because they think I have time. That freshman year is so important. Kids, get in and get inundated with what high school looks like and want to be cool for whatever reason and let those grades slip. Now you're in a hole. It's very tough to dig out.
It is.
So the guys that maintain that from day one, that truly cherish and understand that it's important, those are the guys that have a lot of success later on.
Absolutely. It's a requirement. There's nobody that's playing Power 4, any level of college athletics that does not have great grades. It just does not happen. They kind of go together like peanut butter and jelly. It's just something that you have to have. But, I think that's a thing that you guys are heavy on, and that's the reason I brought it up within your program. You've been doing that for years. It's not something that just started yesterday.
Right.
You know what I mean? Talking with Coach Brandon Tucker and Derrick from Trench Warfare. Again, May 4th and 5th, the Pass Rush School, brought to you by Trench Warfare and Rare Soul Kennels. Is going down Richardson Berkner High School, indoor, 50 O-linemen, 50 D-linemen. They're going to get active in the trenches. Now, social media has taken over a big thing, and I know you guys are very prominent within the social media realm of getting kids exposure. But you do it in a select way. You don't just see a whole bunch of things. You don't just put every single workout on it. You're discreet about that. But it plays a part in getting recruited. I'll start with you, D. Okay. How do you guys emphasize that within the realm that you guys operate in? Coach Tuck, I'll let you talk about that.
We have a couple of rules with our guys because every high school athlete has huddle. What we require them to do is before they post it, they shoot it to us. Let us see the plays, what's good, what's bad, because they think every play is great, of course.
For sure.
And we like to go ahead and decipher to see what needs to be in there, what doesn't need to be there, an order in what you put your highlight films together. And then we give our okay, and we like it, let them post it, because it plays a huge part. What we also do is we, in training, we're very open. We let our parents video our training sessions. We just don't let them post them. Training is where you're able to be vulnerable, win, lose, and we don't need everybody seeing that. And what you do in private to get better is what it needs to be in private.
For sure.
And we will post a couple of things, mostly still things when we're training. When we're at camps, of course, we post that stuff, but we're real big on not posting your training videos. They'll help you learn to get better, and because we don't want we could have a 5-star going up against a 2-star, and the 2-star is killing him. Well, the 2-star, the first thing he wants to do is post it because it's a 5-star he's killing.
Right.
But that's not helping you or him. The tape is there for verification for you to go back and work on the things you need to work on. But yeah, we're big proponents of posting your stuff, but we just like to have a hand in helping you to make sure it's right and it's accurate and it's going to put you in the best light.
Absolutely. It's important because you don't want something, like you said, you don't want to be digressed or, something to put out bad, And Coach Tuck, I know you guys have been heavy on that.
Yeah, I'm old school. I really don't like social media at all. It's a necessary evil, especially in this business. I typically don't post a bunch of content other than stills, and the reason for that is our mindset is in order to be great, you've got to be different. And what we do in training is unique, and defensive line play is the only position in football where guys will train and practice things that don't transfer to the football field. And so everything we do in training, it transfers. And so the monkey see, monkey do mentality, like social media, if you see something on social media, a guy puts something out, they think it looks cool, and then you look back on social media 2 weeks later, there's 4 other guys doing it. And so for me and for Derrick and everyone else that's involved in the program, we want to protect our curriculum. And so because, results, proven results is how you should judge someone, we protect what we do. Now we're open. You can come out and watch, and you can question me and visit, and but the last thing I want to do is for what makes us special get out, and you have other people doing what we've worked so hard over the last almost 20 years now to build. And so very discreet on what we put out in social media. Again, though, it's a necessary evil. You've got to manage it, and you've got to manage the expectations of what comes from it, man. These darn kids, their mindset is if I don't post it, it didn't happen. Our mindset is, you grind in the dark to shine in the light. If you're working hard, it's going to show up on game day.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Right. But what's happened is a flip where people will come out, and we've seen them. Guys will show up, and they'll be out there with cameras, and man, they spill water down the front of their shirt, do 2 or 3 drills, and they're out.
Wow.
But they'll say, "Hey, man, grinding."
Right.
Right. Man, if you're taking care of business on game day, whether that's Friday nights, Saturdays, or Sunday, we know you were grinding, right? You don't have to post everything that you do. So, I mean, I hope I didn't get you long.
No, you good. I think it breaks it down to the pros and the cons. It's something we talk about all of the time. Coach Jay, the right type of things that need to be posted. You have to be selective. You know what I'm saying? Coach, speak on that just a little bit, because this is something that we preach and talk about on a weekly basis.
No, I absolutely agree with Tuck. Timing is everything, and I think now kids, we get caught up in just the likes, the hype in social media, and we want to show and try to get as many looks as possible, but you got to be able to show the right thing. Because if you don't understand what they're looking for, just showing a regular workout could actually show weakness where you're not going to be recruited, because they look at that as, oh, he's a finished product. That's not what we want. So it's important to be able to show at the right time, what you can do. And the thing I like to do is, tell kids, hey, put everything in the Google Drive. Put your best training footage in Google Drive, because college coaches now are asking, hey, send me workout film, right? But that doesn't mean it has to be posted on your social media. Put it in your Google Drive, so when they ask for it, it's there for them to see it, at their leisure, and it's not posted. So it's just understanding, what to give, and what to show. And like Tuck said, those things are going to show up. If you're dominating on the field, common sense says, oh, he's putting in work somewhere. But now you have, a lot of the pro guys putting out workout film. So kids are following suit. It's, again, like you said, monkey see, monkey do. But not really understanding that those guys have already arrived. So they can do that because everything they do is at a high level. So, and honestly, I think a lot of stuff is about likes. A lot of kids are putting out a ton of content because they want the likes, the clicks, things like that. They just want the attention. And that could, really be counterproductive to what they want to do. So we live in a really strange time where you know, we want instant gratification.
Yeah,
Right. And instant doesn't always mean perfect. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna switch gears and I'll get you guys' opinion on this. Film wise, you know, I look at film weekly. Kids send me film weekly. What do you have to put on tape from a defensive perspective that intrigues or gets college coaches' attention? D, I'll start with you. I see you glancing at
start
Tuck.
with
Tuck. Okay,
Tuck
we can start with Tuck.
That's his realm.
That's his realm.
realm.
Putting it on tape is very, very important. You know, especially you know, post COVID. You know, with COVID, everything was online. It was you had to send everything in. Social media really kind of took over and branched off with that now. But you have to put the right tape out. You know, we spoke about social media, but putting it on film, what does that look like, Coach?
So Derrick touched on that earlier with having our clients send us their film first. And your film has to be in order. Your best plays need to be the first 2 or 3 plays. When college coaches are looking at film, they're looking at hundreds and let me back that up a little bit. The position coaches aren't looking at the film anyway, right? They've got GAs and analysts that are doing it. And then if they see something that they know they're looking for, they're only going to look at film for 15 to 20 seconds. So your film has to be in order. Your best plays have to be at the very front. And then what they're looking for is what we talked about earlier, is making a play. So many times, especially defensive linemen, they'll make a tackle and think that's a highlight. That's a regular play. And so understanding the difference between a highlight and a regular play, it destroys most kids because they'll be getting blocked, maybe get knocked back 2 or 3 yards, running back runs into them, they make the play, they put on their highlight film. And so those aren't highlights. And so the proper order and make sure that you're doing the things that they want to see in the run game. Are you getting extension? Are you using your hands across the line of scrimmage? Things like that are highlights, especially for young players. And so that's what you want to see, highlights in the proper order. And, you know, realistically, 30, 40 seconds. I mean, I see kids with 4-minute highlight films. I mean, if you want to have that for your own personal entertainment,
right?
College coaches aren't going to look
60 seconds at the most.
You're lucky if you get 60.
You're lucky if you get 60.
You're lucky if you get 60.
I'll add my part to what he said because he's something that's the biggest thing that we talk about. I know I do when they coach. I got my huddle done, and we talk about it, and it's 4.5 minutes. It's too long. They're not going to look at that. We need about 45 to 60 seconds worth of really good film, like Tuck said.
Right.
And we're going to send it to them.
Right.
We don't need a biography. We just don't. They want to do it because it's just they made all these plays.
Absolutely.
That they feel like they've made. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Well, you have to get the right eyes on it, and a lot of times you see, it's a tape for entertainment purposes.
Right.
That pleases the person.
Right.
Or pleases the parent.
Right.
You have to have someone that knows, that's knowledgeable about these things. This type of stuff we talk about all the time when it comes to film evaluation. You know what I mean? It's important.
It is.
And if it don't jump, then they probably gonna turn it off. And also, I throw another little nugget. You guys, the music, it's not necessary.
No need at all.
No need.
Completely keep it off.
Right.
Keep it off.
Right. That can turn a coaching staff off immediately.
Real fast.
And I think that's some of the things that people may not know if they're not really into it like that. You know, of course, the kids, this generation, that's what you see. But it's really not important in the long scheme of the spectrum of getting recruited. They want to see you flash right away.
Yeah.
And that's something that you have to get across to them. And you guys do a great job. Want to give a couple shout-outs to a couple people that are watching. My guy CJ Moss, shout out to Lamont Ellison. Shout out to Twix. Sean Edwards tapping in today, man. Appreciate all you guys. Will Coleman.
Get to work, Twix.
Twix, what it do? Now,
what up, Twix?
Now, Twix, on the other hand, we got to the question about the difficult position. You know what his argument was, of course, was quarterback.
He probably said quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, Twix, get to work.
I thought I should throw that nugget in. But I got a question for you guys when it comes to film or practice highlights. Coach, I'll start with you. What's more important?
obviously we want to see what you're doing in the game.
Okay.
I think it's important to keep in perspective. It doesn't matter what you're doing on film if you don't check the very basic requirements that coaches are looking for, which is height, speed, weight. Because, I mean, and I hear the complaint all the time, man, I'm better than this kid. Yeah, but he's 6'4", and he's 245 pounds, and he's a 2026. You're a 2024. You're 6 feet tall, and you weigh 200 pounds. And so it doesn't matter if you play better than him. A college coach feels like he can get that kid and teach him how to play. At the end of the day, this is a big man sport. And so if it doesn't matter what your film looks like. I mean, I've seen kids, man, go out and get 15, 20 sacks in a season. Their film is phenomenal. They're doing everything right. But they're not a prospect because of the lack of whatever it might be.
Upside or ceiling.
Hey, man, you know, those are things we can't control.
Right.
And it's actually easier to get a kid with no film that checks the boxes height and weight when he's young to get offers versus a kid that's doing everything the right way on the back end, but he just hasn't had the right height. And so, I mean, again, film is important, but it's not the most important thing. And so to say practice film, I mean, I don't know of a college coach that's looked at practice film unless he's sitting there with the high school coach. And he says, I want you to take a look at this, right? And it was something that was remarkably done that they wanted, you know, especially on young players, that they wanted that college coach to see. Otherwise, I don't know how valuable practice film is at the high school level.
Right.
Now, there's a caveat there because if you are a guy that's going to jump in the transfer portal and you don't have game film, you better make sure you're screen recording some practice film because who you are coming out of high school isn't who you are now.
Exactly.
And so that's where practice film would be important.
Right.
Not for a high school guy, but potentially a portal guy. That's where practice film would come into play.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, we're talking off camera. We're gonna have a whole thing before the portal closes. We're gonna have a big special about that. Coach Tucker's gonna come back and we're gonna bring some other guys in because the portal's open right now. We see kids go into the portal and maybe not come back out. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit. But May 4th and 5th, the Pass Rush School Trench Warfare, brought to you by Trench Warfare and Rare Soul Kennels, is coming up. Richardson Berkner High School. Let's dive into that before we run out of time. Pass Rush School.
Yep.
I think that says a lot of things in it.
Yeah.
Right in what you're getting out of this. You know, you guys put on clinics, camps, private sessions and things, group sessions from, the pros all the way down to middle school. But Pass Rush School, I think, says something else in itself. Speak on what that means, because this is going to be a little bit different. I know we talked a couple weeks ago, when you reached out to me about it, about attending it. School, what are they going to be getting when this comes into play?
Yeah. We talked a little bit earlier about tutors.
Yeah.
Really smart students, they go get help before they need it.
Right.
There are a lot of tremendous high school football coaches out there, and they do a really good job preparing their players to play. But just like a really smart student goes and gets help before he needs it, a really smart football player is going to go get assistance. And it's not that his coach isn't able to get him going. He doesn't have the time. So a good teacher, if he's got 30 students in class, he has to teach that class. And then you go get extra help from your tutor, right? And so that's what it is for us. When we talk about Pass Rush School, it's a holistic approach. And so we're going to put you in the classroom. We're going to put you on the whiteboard. We're going to look at film. And we're going to allow you to ask questions, right? It's an interactive environment. Like I said earlier, football culture is not open for questions. And so we're gonna allow people to ask questions, I'll be a presenter, but you're going to see future Hall of Famers come through there. You're going to see first-round draft picks come through there. You're going to see former players, current players, coaches that are going to come in there, and they're going to pour into the guys in attendance. Now, it's called pass rush school, but there's also an offensive line component, and the offensive line is going to receive that same high-level instruction. The only reason that we don't call it pass rush, pass pro is it's too much to darn say, right? But pass rush school is unique. It's a 2-day event. It's an elite event. It's a high-level event. And can I give a shout out to the sponsors?
Absolutely.
Is that so? Obviously, our title sponsor this year is Rare Soul Kennels, Power Hands, Hutchins Barbecue is going to feed the kids day one, and then Oscar's Tacos is going to feed the kids day two. Obviously, it's Cinco de Mayo, so we kind of wanted to go with a Mexican food theme, and they were more than gracious to come out and provide food for the attendees. Did I leave anybody out, D?
Nope. Good, man.
I appreciate you. So our sponsors are tremendously important to us. They allow us to do some of the things that we do. Having a shout out to Trey Bryan over at Richardson Berkner High School too, man.
Absolutely.
But to allow us to be able to put on something as extended as a 2-day event, and then feed guys, put apparel on them, it's just something unique. And we want them to have as many takeaways as possible. So in the past, especially coming out of COVID, I think that first event that we did coming out of COVID was almost 200 kids there.
It was. It was huge.
Shout out to Coach O for his tremendous help at that time.
No doubt.
And, as much as we love it, right, we love to see that type of participation. This year we wanted to scale it back so that guys would have even more takeaways. It's important going into camp season that you have something to add, even if it's just a small change in perspective. Okay, all right, I know how to put a pass rush plan together now. Okay, just something as simple as that might have been lost in the past with a bunch of numbers. And so we want to scale it back and just really provide an environment for guys to come out and understand what we do. Understand it's a teaching program. That's the word school. It's just something that we're going to continue to do as long as we're blessed to do it at this level, especially. What year is this for us now, D?
This is year 7. I'm sorry, for pass rush school.
Yeah, year 7. So we've been at it for a little bit. Just blessed to be able to put on for the big skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Now, quick question: can you teach someone to be an elite pass rusher, or is that something that's innate, that's developed a long time? Or, a lot of guys are born with certain things. I call it the wake up out of bed type thing. Or can you actually teach that?
There's a balance there. So our goal is to develop football players and offensive linemen and defensive linemen. I'm glad you said that, though, because a lot of people get so caught up and wrapped up in pass rush. Man, you got to be able to defend the run.
No doubt.
Number one. Man.
You got to be able to defend the run. The mindset is I got to defend the run to earn the right to stay on the field on third down to pass rush. And so if you can't identify what it looks like when you're getting base reaching down, it doesn't matter if you can pass rush.
Right.
And so, it's important for us to develop high aptitude defensive linemen that know how to defend the run and the pass. Now, can we teach a guy to be an elite pass rusher if he possesses the basic skills? Right? There's something if you have 2 left feet, the likelihood of you being an elite pass rusher, is slim. But if you check the boxes, man, and you're willing to really submit yourself to the training, then the likelihood of you being a really, really good pass rusher, it's there. And we've seen some guys go from oh my God, is he a football player, to, oh my God, look at that football player. So, yeah, I mean, to answer your question directly, yes, you can develop a pass rusher. You can develop a defensive lineman, and the younger the better, right? Because I don't have to fix a bunch of bad habits, right? So, the answer to your question, yes, you can.
Absolutely. Now, D, you're involved in everything from setting everything up to getting the parents in line, to getting the kids in line. Speak about your job as a whole, as kind of what you do to just direct traffic, because anybody that knows that you're right in the trenches with Coach Tuck and the other coaches, and you guys have a team of people that work behind the scenes to get these events planned.
Yeah, man, we have a fantastic staff that doesn't get enough praise and shine. We appreciate them so much. Let me just say, I started off, I'm a parent in the program. That's
Absolutely.
how I started. Caleb has been with Tuck now almost 10 years. And year 5, that's when I became the program director for the program. Tuck had come to me a couple of times to do it, and I had turned him down because I just liked being a parent in the program. But he kept at it. He was consistent, and then I said yes. So from the day-to-day functions of our program, I run it. When we on our camps, I run the camp. Tuck likes just training. That's what he wants to do. That's what he's really, really good at. So he wanted somebody to come in and just do everything else. And that's what I do, no matter what it is. And so, yeah, we set it all up, myself and our staff. We set up everything, get everything groundwork down, line up everything the way he and the other trainers want it on the field. Talk to parents. That's probably 80% of my job is interacting with the parents to keep them abreast of things that are going on, what we're doing, checking grades, and just being there for advice, because I get a lot of phone calls about, Coach, should I do this, or Coach, should I not do that? So I get a lot of that. So my responsibility is to maintain the integrity of our program, which I feel like I do a really good job of. You know, Tuck, Jock, Victor, they do a really good job of handling the on-field stuff, analyzing everything they need to analyze from that perspective. And my job is just to make sure everything runs smoothly. What happens to do with running stuff, financial means that we have to do with parents, making sure everything's paid, making sure we have what we need, making sure everybody's taken care of, make sure our security is right when we have camps and stuff, all in my wheelbox. And on top of that, still be a parent in the program. I think the number one thing I really like to relay to our family is, of course, grades and etiquette. It's etiquette when you go to camps. It's etiquette how you're supposed to handle yourself on the field and off the field. And they're kids, so we never forget that they're children, and they're going to screw up. But etiquette, that's really huge with me. How you represent yourself, your family, and us is really big. And I'm really big on that. I have a lot of talks with our guys, and I'm long-winded, so sometimes those talks can get really heavy.
Yeah.
But it's needed. I mean,
No
and
doubt.
what makes me feel good is when the parents come up to me afterwards, or I get a text or a phone call saying, man, we really appreciate you guys. It's not something we really thought about. You guys are doing this. Thank you. Thank you for being hard on them, to get them to try to see the perspective and the focus. And also with Tuck, we both handle the recruiting aspect of kind of get our guys like, it's important for you to do this by this date. Let's get this done. Let's not worry about, because the number one problem with kids, our kids and kids, period, they worry about what offers they don't have opposed to who they do have.
No doubt.
And so that's one of my big jobs and responsibilities, to try to get them to understand to love who loves you, and to see for them to see the value in that, because these schools are offering full athletic scholarships, no matter if it's nowhere state or nowhere. So they all are giving you the opportunity to do the same thing. So that's my wheelhouse. I'll say everything, but I take great pride in it. Tuck has allowed me to be myself. And it's funny, we'll get things happen. Sometimes I'll say something to somebody and they don't like it, and they'll be like, I'm going to go talk to Coach Tuck.
That might be
And
worse.
I'll be like, go ahead. And then he redirects them right back. Like,
Absolutely.
what did Derrick say?
Yeah.
And he just redirects them, and then they realize, oh, you are the one I have to deal with.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we're going to do this way, and this is how we're going to do it. And and sometimes we're not for everybody. You know, we've had guys who come into our program, leave our program. We've had some guys that we felt like was better in their best interest to not be a part of the program anymore.
For sure.
That's my job and responsibility as well. Right. I think we do a fantastic job, but sometimes, everybody's just not going to be apples and oranges, and it just doesn't click. So.
Right. Well, I think this is what sets you guys apart. You know what I mean? And, I love attending you guys' events. Again, I always appreciate you guys having me out. I appreciate you guys for coming through. Again, May 4th and 5th, the Pass Rush School, brought to you by Trench Warfare and Rare Soul Kennels. www.trenchwarfare.us is where you can go sign up. They're only taking 50 O linemen and 50 D linemen. So if you hadn't registered, man, you might want to get down and get it done. You know what I'm saying? Listen, 2 weeks it's going down. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Listen, I appreciate you guys coming out, man.
Can I?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Couple things.
Go ahead.
I really want to recognize and give Pat Lewis, our O-line partner with Blue Chip O-line. Without him, we can't have the major component in the program, which is competing and training. And then just on a personal note, the draft is tomorrow.
Absolutely.
We have some guys that are going to get picked up that are very, very special to the program. We got to watch them in high school up close and personal, man, from the Dallas area.
Yes.
And we're really excited about some of the guys that are going to get drafted tomorrow, man. So tune in. If this is the culmination of a lot of hard work and dedication, man. When you see guys get drafted, I know it's everyone that plays football, this is what they want to do. They want to get drafted, especially in the first round.
Right.
And so we're going to see some guys that, like I said, have been a part of the program, around the program, and in the DFW area. See some football success tomorrow night, man.
Absolutely, man. And, shout out to all those guys. I know who you're talking about. I had a chance to cover those guys when they were in high school, see them flourish. And listen, they're going to be on the cusp of making major moves and major waves in the NFL right now.
Absolutely.
Instant impact.
Immediately.
Instant impact.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Day one.
Instant impact. And it's great to see those guys and everything come to fruition. But you guys had a hand in that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason, I wanted to have you guys on.
Appreciate you.
Anytime, man. Absolutely. This won't be the last. You know what I mean? So
appreciate you. Look forward to the portal show, man. That's
absolutely. It's going to be dope. I got to get that set up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Absolutely, man. For everybody with On Your Mark show, appreciate you for tapping in today. Every week, live Wednesday, right in the Fishbowl Radio Network from 11 to 12. Shout out to Coach Jay for tapping in on the road. Listen, follow the On Your Mark show YouTube channel. This episode will be up later today. Shout out to my guy, Maynard Mike. He's going to take us out. We'll holler at you next week.
Hey, this Manna Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.